Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to a new episode. Today we want to talk about intelligence, and the topic of today's episode is what is not a sign of intelligence but people think it is. Before we do that, we need first of all to understand what is intelligence. In my research, I looked through dictionaries, the internet, I used AI, but I thought the best way to define or explain what it is, I need to look for something so reputable, near academic quality reputation, to allow us decipher into the nitty-gritties of what intelligence is. So I went to the American Psychological Association page and asked them to help me define what is intelligence. Now, this is how exactly they said it, and I quote: "While there is no single universal agreed upon definition of intelligence, it is most broadly defined as the ability to learn from experience, adapt to new situations, and use knowledge to solve problems or manipulate one's environment." And then they went deeper and said that generally it involves these four key mental processes. One is learning. That means you have the capacity to acquire, retain, and retrieve new information. Two, reasoning. This is the ability to use logic to form judgment or solve complex problems. Three, adaptability. The skill of adjusting one's behavior to thrive in a changing environment or in novel contexts. Number four, problem solving. This is very, very important. Identifying and resolving obstacles through strategic thinking. So American Psychological Association has tried to go in depth to define what could be agreed upon as intelligence. However, it's not fully formed at that moment. And I thought with that gap, because even them, they agree that there's no agreed definition for it, why can't I take a different route? So based on the above definition, they said, to what end do we define what intelligence is? So I split this episode into 7 key areas that normally are aligned to what we define as intelligence. And these 7 things are around blocks of areas where, for whatever reason, maybe you see someone speak and you're blown away. You see someone explain something and you're blown off. You see someone trying to argue, point, or debate, and you're thinking, now that is an intelligent person. However, intelligence is all-encompassing. It's like something whole. You can't take one block of something and then say that that person is intelligent. Therefore, I am going to look at these 7 areas that are split and tell you what if in that block, okay, what is not a sign of someone who is intelligent. So the first block, or the first area of focus, is what we call the emotional quotient, or EQ, and intellectual humility. So there are around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things within EQ and intellectual humility, and this is the most popular one, where if you searched, you went online or social media and asked what are some of the signs of an intelligent person, they will use things like he's quiet, he's a nice guy, he doesn't argue a lot. But what I I am telling you there are few things that are pointing to a behavior that does not come out as being intelligence. One is being detached from emotions, because we assume that when someone has detached himself from emotion is rational, therefore he has his life in order. It's not always the case. Number two is their inability to admit being wrong. But refusing to say I don't know or I might be wrong, it's often a sign of insecurity and not intelligence. Three is certainty and overconfidence. This is the most popular one, because if you knew that someone who embraces nuance and uncertainty tends to be more intelligent, someone who can come out confident and tell you that this is the best route to something, then you're able to pick that quickly. So anyone who tells you that they are sure 100% this works, that is a red flag. Pointing out others' flaws, criticizing others does not make you smarter. Reacting to mistakes of other people doesn't make you smarter. Making cynicism for insight, or being cynical, or mistaking cynicism for intelligence, where you constantly embrace a contrarian side just for the sake of it, and you mistaken that as depth. Number 6 is thinking kindness or ruthlessness reflects intelligence. Morality and intellect are separate dimensions. Number 2, the second block is communication presentation. This is another area that confuses a lot of people. On one, there are a few, and I'll point out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. One is using big words unnecessarily, overcomplicating a very simple language to appear smart. Most of the time, this is a sign of lack of understanding. Using flowery language or verbose, elaborating phrasing can mask shallow thinking. So you're taking something very simple and exaggerating how you explain it. Speaking fast or loudly, volume and speed doesn't equal to intelligence. Public speaking skills. This is, but itself as a skill is not a sign of intelligence, because a lot of people confuse eloquence with expertise. And then sometimes specific accents, especially upper class accents, or articulation can create a false impression of intellect. And lastly, overconfidence and charisma, being well dressed, in a suit, being charismatic, can also make people mistaken you for being smart. Block number 3 is credentials and achievements. This we know. Having a doctorate, a degree, a master's, it's not always, it's important, it's not always a sign. Writing a book, publishing a book, it does not show intellectual depth. Expensive education, going to an expensive college or having an expensive certification, or being part of a unique club of certification that has high fees as a gatekeeping strategy. Being in leadership, because most of the time some promotions could be due to politics, you align to the new management, could be tenure, you've been around long enough so they just move you up. Also another one is working for big companies, because we associate those big companies with intelligence, or people who work for this huge company automatically they must be brilliant. They are, but it does not mean they are intelligent. Right? Block number 4, it's wealth and status. Being rich, or because people, when someone is rich, we always assume they are really, really intelligent, because they are rich out of their prowess, out of their intellectual prowess. Otherwise, they couldn't be where they are. They are really, really, really smart. It could be they're lucky. Could be they just focus on one thing and just worked out. Could be they are aware of some information that you're not aware of. Whatever it is, they are smart but they're not intelligent. A corner office or a senior position, that is big, because you and me know that climbing a corporate ladder is not always, or does not always reflect cognitive ability. Then block number 5 is knowledge and intelligence versus intelligence. So having a vast knowledge in a specific area, or a domain specific expertise, or being aware of specific details, like you have a very good memory, you can remember the exact dates, the timing, the plots of so many shows, playing specific games, which is really good, like the Rubik's Cube or playing chess, which rely heavily on pattern recognition and practice. Mistaking knowledge for intelligence can be a big misnomer, because sometimes knowing facts isn't the same as thinking critically or solving the problems. And that is why, if you look in most classes, or when you're in class, the most intelligent people don't end up being the most successful. But find that just an average student in your class ended up doing exceptionally well. The brilliant one, yes, they're okay, but they're not as well as that average one who had other skills. Or we've even seen kids prodigies on TV programs who are brilliant when they are 4 years old, 3 years old. By 10 years old, they mastered the 5 languages. They end up being okay. They end up being authors. They end up being university professors. They end up being scientists. But they don't have this extreme success out of that. Okay. Block number 6 is behavioral misconception, and this is like, one is being a contrarian, winning arguments. The biggest one is never changing your mind. Let me talk about winning arguments, because sometimes people disengage because you are unpleasant, or they're just tired. They just say, oh, you're right, you win. Then you might think that you, especially when you're young, you may think that, I'm good. Okay? Never changing your mind, because sometimes being stubborn and holding on, people think that makes you brilliant. Quoting jargons and obscure terms, overcompensation through vocabulary is a very common mask for intelligence. Then lastly is the misuse of science and logic. This is big, including myself, including this channel. You've done that, and of course I'm not the most intelligent person around. I just look for information, share that with you. This one is blindly saying I trust science without understanding the scientific method used, because otherwise, not only just the scientific methods used to reach that conclusion, what is the process of science? What is science exactly? Because this is hollow. This phrase, I trust science, is hollow. Lastly is the ones who use it's science as a trump card, because you're misusing science to shut down debate, shows ignorance, not intellect. So to conclude, because I know you probably, if you watched this far, you're wondering, so what is this guy Jeremiah going to say is intelligence? Okay, so this is my opinion, and it's not my quote. It's a quote by Neil Stevenson, who wrote The Diamond Age, and his definition of intelligence, in my opinion, is the best definition of what intelligence is. So I'm going to quote verbatim from the book. The difference between stupid and intelligent people. And this is true whether or not they are well educated, is that intelligent people can handle subtlety. What is subtlety? That is outside the definition. Just put a comma there, and I'm trying to explain what that word means. subtlety. Essentially, is a nice character. That nicety of a character. That's nicety of a meaning, having meaning, or being delicate enough that you can morph to any shape. So you can handle that. That is intelligence. He continues to say that they are not baffled by ambiguous or even contradictory situations. In fact, they expect them and are apt to becoming suspicious when things seem overly straightforward. Okay? So intelligence is thriving in chaos and welcoming the chaos and being formless. Thank you so much. I hope that today's session was helpful to you. Until next time, goodbye.